Hi there. Welcome. Welcome to the course. Yes, I understand that you recently came out as gay. Is that correct? Yeah. I heard about it. It's all over town, to be honest. And I have to say, um, I don't think that you are. No. Actually, so this where you're at right now is you're at a course, a you are not gay course. Okay, so we're going to go through a lot of different options, a lot of different things that we're going to do. We meet once a week. There is a lot of homework when it comes to this course, and you're going to have to do it. Okay, because you are not gay. I can see it. Even though you say that you are. So let's just go ahead and get started on just like giving you some information about this course. Since, you did sign up for it or someone signed you up for it, whatever it is, it's really not important to me. What is important to me is money, okay? So this course is going to cost money. It is once a week. I really drag the course out over like 6 months. I could probably do it in 3 weeks total. However, I think that it's pretty important to have a steady weekly place that you can come and be reminded about just how much of a fairy you are, right? So we're going to go ahead and get started, right? And just make sure that everything is not fairy. So, in this course that's going to be over 6 months, once a week, it happens multiple days over the week. You just have to pick one. Yeah, you can't come multiple times. Coming multiple times is just not an option unless, of course, you are in an intimate situation. Then perhaps that is a good option. Anyway, so we're going to go over the basics, just who you are, what kind of gay you are, that sort of thing. Just to get to know you, get to know who you are now so that we can get to know who you are later, okay? After that, we're going to go over some greetings. So this is just us getting to know each other, right? So this is not going to be a part of the course, but this is just to give you a flavor of what the course is going to be like. So we're going to go over some greetings, how to not gayify any of these greetings, how to make sure that you say these greetings in a very straight way, in a very manly way. And then afterwards, we're going to go over mannerisms. Yeah, already, I can see many different mannerisms that, to me, scream I am a homosexual. And that, I think, is unfortunate, right? It's very unfortunate. So... and then we're going to go ahead and talk about some mantras that we want you to sort of repeat. When you have those gay thoughts, you might have some mantras that you're gonna say. I mean, these are very important and definitely won't scar you for the rest of your life. So just letting you know. And then, of course, lastly, we're just going to touch upon God. God is very important. He's ever present, but he doesn't really make an appearance in the course. I have called him. I've given him my number. And, he thinks that he thinks that I'm already doing a wonderful job. And I'm definitely not being like an evil person to a lot of people. So I think that he is just... he's taking a hands-off approach. I think that's what it is. So just letting you know, if you're expecting sort of God to be present within this course, he plays a minor role. Okay? So, any questions so far? How much is it going to cost? I think if you have to ask that question, you're not rich enough to be in this course. However, lucky for you, we are running a program for today only. It's going to end in about 30 minutes. If you sign up, we'll give you a loan, right? We'll loan you the amount of money required for this course. There is a small interest, 75%. It's really not that bad. It only activates after 48 hours, and it will accrue based off of the total amount that you owe. So every time you have to pay, it's a monthly payment. I think you only have to pay, I think it's like $5 a month. So it's really not that much, but that's not including interest, right? So, and the interest is off of the total, so you are going to have to pay a lot of money. But it's just an option for you to understand, okay? Okay, are you ready to get a little bit of an idea as to what the course is like? Okay, yeah. Let's go ahead and do that. So, basics. Let's just go ahead and get your full name, please. See, already, big mistake. You cannot have a name like that and not come off as a homosexual. Your parents doomed you from the start. Okay, we might have to do something about that. Are you willing to change your name? How about a nickname? That's worse. Okay. How old are you? Okay. Prime age. Not very good. You should not be going out. You will be devoured. So. And what is your body type? So when we're talking about body types here, you might say I'm a connoisseur of the gay people. To be a connoisseur of the gay people, you have to sort of go out and be one of them and pretend to be one of them. So I've done it all. I've been in there. I've been in them. I've been whatever it is that you can imagine. I've done it, right? And of course, it's nothing. There's nothing gay about that. It's all research, of course. It's completely justified within my worldview. So what I am going to say is, in terms of body type, you have things like your very typical things: twink, bear, otter, like pup, the whale, that's an option. Which ones? A lot of the times, these used to have very rigid understandings or rigid categories, but over time it has sort of broken down, and each one has become a subculture and sub-identity within sort of the gay sphere. And so one thing that you'll note is that gay people they absolutely love to identify with a mammal of some sort. Even when they go for the aquatic ones, they're always mammals. Very fascinating, But anyway, just whatever body type you think that you are, just go ahead and give it to me. Okay. Next, let's go ahead and do you recall your Grindr bio? Yes, we do need that here just so that we understand your tastes and just how toxic you are. Yeah, that in the background, that is people doing work to not be gay. So, okay. And do you recall the last 5 web pages that you visited? We need some of your internet history just to be very candid with us, And with us, I do mean me. This is a solo operation going on. So it's not really like you're going to be interacting with many people. We're not keeping you or anything. You're coming here once a week, as I said before. But in terms of the internet history, it's just so that we establish a connection, right? And that way, when I ask you for money, you have a hard time saying no. And, when you do confront me, I might have some blackmail material, right? Okay. Perfect. Okay, so in terms of some of the basics as well, we do have 3 textbooks that I'm going to require you to purchase. In terms of these textbooks, they were all written by a wonderful researcher. He does share the same name as me. He is, in fact, me. But I think it's very important that you purchase these. It's honestly a really wonderful piece of literature, I would say. Not just a textbook, but just complete literature that you're going to have to read. I'm not going to bring it up in the courses. Of course I wouldn't, because it's not something that I necessarily need you to read to complete the course, but it's something that I think I really recommend so that you get a full picture, right? So definitely buy that, and I need you to buy it before you come to your first course, right? I will check that you have all the textbooks and that you're ready to read them, and then I will never check again. Okay. All right. So with that, I will need you to sign here. This is basically just indicating that I've gone over all of the important things with you. You cannot sue us for, by us I do mean me, you can't sue me for sort of defamation or just being an awful person or just like emotional trauma and torture. We do none of that here. There is no torture or anything. It's really just plain old talking. It's bros talking. So will you sign right here for me? Right there. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so how about we go ahead and do some greetings, right? So let's go ahead. Let's see here. So the first greeting, I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but the first greeting is hello, right? So what does that mean? It means that when you greet somebody, you want to say hello, hi, how are you doing? You don't want to say hi. You don't want to say hi, diva. You don't want to say any of that because that comes off as what? Gay, right? So, and you don't want to do that. You want to try and make sure that your tone, when it comes to the hello, comes out as monotone as possible. Hello, 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 right? It's because when you do that, you want to basically tell people that you feel uncomfortable, right? That you feel uncomfortable, and your way of camouflaging your uncomfortableness is through lowering your voice and not adding any flair at all. Okay, so hello is the first one. Second one, of course, is what's up. Very, very many ways to go about this. What's up? It's basically, it's a one-liner, right? It's what's up, right? You don't want to say things like, oh my God, how you doing, bitch? Like that kind of thing is a bit, I don't want to say what I want to say, but it's a bit queenie, let's say. So don't say that. Don't. Try to condense your words. Next, we have howdy do. Howdy do. What's important about howdy do is this is for the straight man who's a little bit goofy, right? Who's a little bit goofy, a little bit. So I guess there's a few types, right? There's the straight man, a little bit goofy, but generally like a nice guy. Sort of head in the clouds, not really thinking about much. A little slow. A little doesn't understand the importance of racism, or the by importance of racism, I do mean the importance of not being racist. I may be against gay people, but of course, I'm not racist. So it's just important to clear that up. So goofy person, completely normal and just goofy, right? But then the other kind is the one that is like a little bit more religious, right? A little bit more, they're being goofy. They're saying how do you do because they're trying to add a little bit of character, but their sort of religious restrictions give them very little room to work with, right? And so they're trying really hard to figure it out. And this is sort of what they come up with, how do you do, right? And then the last one, of course, is you can just say greetings, greetings. Very, very classic. Very, you might come off as a little bit of a robot, but it's better to come off as a robot than to come off as a fan, right? So let's just go ahead and say that. So next, so those are the greetings. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about mannerisms. So, I have noticed a little bit of limp wrists going on over there. I need you to stop that. That is incorrect. You don't want those limp wrists. Limp wrists, it just comes off poor, right? It comes off like you don't have control of your hands, and that your palms are just like going everywhere, right? So this something okay. And then next, of course, this kind of goes hand in hand with the limp wrist, the swishing. Why do you swish all the time? I don't understand it. Yes, of course I swish. I've swished before, but it's you need to be able to control these things. You need to be able to, when you want to swish, you swish, but when you don't want to swish, you don't. Next is gay people love to do this. They love to do a little bit of a hair tuck, even if they don't have the hair for it. What this indicates to me is that they are, they're trying to be something that they're not, right? And so any gay person that is doing the hair tuck actually isn't gay. And so if you're doing the hair tuck, you're trying to indicate that you're gay. You're trying to be one of them. It's just interesting, so stop that. Next, of course, something that gay people tend to have is a lot of confidence. And you might think, okay, confidence, isn't that sort of like a manly trait? Isn't that sort of a straight trait? It's not. So there is a form of confidence, right, that men, like straight men tend to have. But that confidence is, let's just say that it's very subdued confidence, right? Or maybe not subdued. Subdued is not the right word here. Straight men have the confidence of somebody that wants to come across like they can be domineering, right? But actually they are incredibly fragile, right? And so they're putting on all these shields, right? And gay people, they tend to have these, let's just say, the confidence to not have the shields and to be like, you know what? I am going to be myself. And being myself is incredibly powerful and incredibly courageous. And that's why I think that you should not do it. So that kind of confidence you don't want. You want the confidence to put up shields, right? Because that, of course, is confidence. And lastly, tongue clicking. You don't want to be tongue clicking. Why? It comes off as gay. Why does it come off as gay? It comes off as gay because what are you doing with that tongue? A straight person, their tongue shouldn't be able to do that. Because what are they using that tongue for? Are they, you might say, okay, well, a straight person, like a straight man who, is really good in bed, would have maybe a really good, make really good use of their tongue. And to that, I say, that's a little gay. You want to be incredibly selfish as a straight man. You want to make sure that you only care about yourself, right? So something to keep in mind is really all that it is. Okay, so those are some mannerisms, and we're going to go over a lot more in my course, okay? So just something to keep in mind. Next, let's talk about some mantras, okay? So I'm just going to give you some mantras. These are our basic ones that we tell everybody. We put it on our flyers and stuff, so we're not sort of giving away any secrets or anything, but it's just something for you to think about before your first course. The first one is, the frogs are gay. You want to say this very frequently, right? Because every time you think that you yourself are gay, then you have to tell yourself, well, the frogs are gay. And then you think, am I a frog? And you go into that whole mess, and then you're like, maybe I am a frog, maybe I'm not a frog. But you know what, you're not gay. So next is, drag race is a car sport. This is important because I think that gay people and just queer people in general, I think have taken drag race, the term drag race, and really changed it up. And, and of course, drag race is for cars and cars only. Who cares that the car industry has made every city completely not walkable, and that, these cities suddenly feel like they're completely hostile to pedestrians, and instead you need a car to function in the majority of America. No. Drag race is for cars. And then that other drag race shouldn't exist to you, right? Who is RuPaul? Why is she fracking? Anyway. Next, of course, is the queen is dead, right? This is important. This is a really important one because you don't want to say hi, queen. You don't want to use queen as a term of endearment, right? The queen, as we know, has died. Now there's a king in England. So, people aren't happy about that. But you know what? It's useful as a tool, right? To understand that the queen is dead. And lastly, let's talk about God here. Like I said, he's always watching, diva. So, what else is there to say about that? Okay. So that's all that there is in terms of our, just like sort of this brief understanding of the course. Do you have any thoughts, opinions? Okay, you do think that I am coming across like very homophobic? I think that is coming off as very straightphobic. I'm definitely not homophobic. You think that I'm gay? Well, you know what? It's true that I've gone to all the gay clubs, all the gay bars, I've done everything, but it's all for research. I thought we went over this. Okay. Well, if we don't have an understanding, then you don't have to come to the course, but don't worry. Your spot will always be open, okay? Okay. Well, I hope you have a wonderful straight day. All right then. Bye-bye.